Yo creo que en esto estamos todos de acuerdo. The Bear fue una de las mejores series del año y pude conversar con una de sus guionistas, con Sofía Levitsky Bites, sobre cómo fue pensar cada uno de los ejes que forman parte de esta espectacular serie de FX que acá llegó a través de Star Plus. Hablamos de cuestiones referidas a la muerte, cuestiones referidas a la adicción y a la adicción al trabajo, cuestiones referidas al duelo y, por supuesto, qué esperar de esa segunda temporada que ya están escribiendo.
We now return to Mira Akian and Contre with our latest interview.
My entry point sort of from the beginning was really about I connected it to theater, my experience in theater, because it feels like there's a real similarity between sort of a pursuit that asks you to not get paid a lot, to work really, really hard, crazy hours, because you have like a passion for something and you're in a small space with a lot of people that can be really stressful, late into the night. So I thought a lot about theater in working on the show.
25 pounds?
No, I ordered 200.
Where's beef?
You still got that meat connect?
Chris actually wrote it as a feature years ago. Chris has had some culinary experience, but also his sister, Courtney Store, is a really successful chef here in LA. So she came to talk to us a lot, and she's a consultant on the show, as well as Maddie Matheson, who is a chef as well, who plays the character Fack. So they were both our consultants on the show. And then throughout the process, we've met with a lot of chefs. Chris has a lot of connections to chefs. So a lot of different types of chefs have come in and talked to us and answered all our questions.
You cut vegetables like a bitch.
Not system, baby.
System.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of cooking on camera, and Jeremy and Io both went to culinary school and knife school, and Lionel, who plays Marcus, went to Copenhagen to train as pastry chef. So they all did their own training and their own cooking on screen.
What's the connection between the food that you are cooking in each episode and the story that you are telling?
So much. I mean, I think food is really emotional, and really connects to memory for people. And we were lucky enough, because of Maddie and Courtney, that, we could really work, and Chris could work with them to create menus that feel not only exciting, but also led by like the plot and character development. And then we got access to those and could build them into our episodes and the way we would break story.
This is your brother's house. I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't he leave it to you then?
I think this show is a lot about family. It's about chosen family and about non-chosen family, and sort of how you grow with people or change with people. And so I think the restaurant is really a family, and I think that's a continued theme, and it's a chosen one. But I think also, like, Carmy in the first season really has to reckon with his actual family as well, and sort of the things that he hasn't wanted to do. And I think Mikey, as this kind of specter ghost over the course of the season, is a really effective way to sort of see how Carmy is haunted by that.
The other thing is, I wanted to connect the show with BoJack. There's a lot of BoJack Horseman in the show about the way these characters are developed. So did you use it as a reference? Did you talk about it? What can you tell me about?
We didn't talk about it too much, but Joanna, who's the co-showrunner, obviously was a huge part of BoJack Horseman from the beginning. And so that doesn't surprise me that it feels that way. And I think one thing I love about the Bear is like how specific the tone is, and that it can be really dark and, like you said, heavy, but also really funny and really free and like full of life and propulsive. Like, it just feels like it's alive and it moves. And that's really how I knew from the very beginning that it was going to be a really special show, is just like that pace and that propulsion is so unique, and you just don't see that a lot. And so I feel like in general, in my own writing too, like, I really value like dark comedy that can make you cry and then make you laugh and make you uncomfortable, make you, warm and fuzzy all at the same time, because that feels like what life is too.
We want to change this restaurant, right? But we have to change the chemistry.
I think most people have these experiences in their lives where they have to create found family, where the pressure is so intense, where you do something because it's your passion and you love it, even if it feels like it's killing you. And also this desire to, shape something from the inside, and that just because something has always been a certain way doesn't mean that it has to remain that way. And so those questions were super relevant for me from the very beginning. And then beyond that, like I said, like the pace, the tone, like it's just a show that is so fiercely itself. And I think when something is unapologetically itself and just goes for it, like people are going to respond to it. And that's how I felt from the very first moment.
My brother and I, we would cook a lot together, especially when we were kids. You know, that's when we were closest. Food was always our common ground.
We talk about grief, we talk about like family, and I think the other thing is how we use work like to escape, to not like face consequences.
Yep.
How did you use work, like maybe being a workaholic as a theme? How do you use it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that also ties into the other theme of the show, which I think is addiction too. And that like, you know, there's all these forms of addiction. And sometimes for someone, you know, they have an addictive personality and that gets funneled into their work, you know, and that there is this quality of, you know, I don't have to think about the thing if I keep like pushing through in this thing that I am passionate about. And I think that the show does a great job of showing how that can really work, but also showing like the pitfalls of that and that there's a limit too, right? That it's ultimately unsustainable. I think that was originally what was really exciting to me when I read the first script, again, like over a year and a half ago, where I was making for me the comparison to this idea of like the myth of the male genius, and that there has to be some like horrible dude in charge who's like yelling at everybody and treating everyone terribly, and that's the only way you can make something good, right? And I think the show does a great job of like creating in a nuanced way that like not saying like, basically asking questions about that, right? Which is like, you know, just because this is a way that it's always been done doesn't mean it has to be done this way, but also like, what is the balance there? Like, how do you create good work? How do you work really hard without, you know, killing yourself, and literally or figuratively, but also shape something new from the inside when we've only ever seen a certain model of this like male genius, whether it's cooking or art making, you know.
I just was finishing talking to Marcus and
Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Marcus.
Get the fuck off my expo chef now!
The other thing I read is like Christopher like presented this as if until the seventh episode, it's like a prologue of a story, and then the show actually starts there in the seventh. That is like the most different episode. It's like all in one shot. Like, what can you tell me about the way you develop the story, thinking of that?
I hadn't heard that. That's really interesting. I mean, I think that pacing is obviously really important. And I think the show really earns like episode 7, and that we sort of build things out, build the tension up so much, which was a big part of the room, was just figuring out how to really build that tension. And then also, you know, really earn the moment in the finale too, where Jeremy, the actor who plays Carmy, does like that 7-minute monologue, which I also think is something that you can't just throw in, but you have to earn from, you know, a fast pace.
Shut the fuck up! Holy fuck! Motherfucker! No, we have a customer. I got stabbed.
Sometimes when we're talking about what should happen, we start in a bigger place, and then we realize like, actually what's effective for this show is like looking at something smaller or subverting what you might expect. And so I think Joanna particularly was excited about like, okay, if there's going to be violence in this episode, there should be something funny or accidental about it. And especially because Richie's such a funny character, like seeing him react to that was really fun. So it was her idea.
You know, Richie, you can finally get a new CD for your car.
Are you going to explain us how did he put the money in those cans?
Yeah, you'll see in season 2.
Okay. Well, speaking of season 2, like, what can we expect? Because I had to say, I thought that this was it, that it was a mini series and it was going to end there, because it's an ending. The show ends with them like having this new idea for a restaurant. But then I found out that there's another season coming. So what can we expect?
Yeah, we'd always hoped for multiple seasons, so we'd been building for that. And I can't say that much, but I will say, like, because the show was so successful, which we're all very happy about, we were really given a lot more freedom in the second season to really delve deeper into the characters even more and take more risks and present something really exciting. It's going to be really good.